Card games and JRPGs. Can you name a more iconic couple? Well, the original Final Fantasy VII did not have a card game. Rebirth has a pretty great one, I've gotta say. But at first, I had a lot of issues with it, and it took me a long time to learn it. But now, I've had quite a number of days to really toy around with it, fool around with it, learn all the ins and outs and the secrets. And now I want to share all of that with you. And if you are new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe for more top 10 lists, news, and reviews, and smash that like button to show your love. Now, let's go ahead and make you a Queen's Blood Master 2. The first time that you're able to access the game is at the very beginning of Chapter 2, when you're first set loose in Calm Village. And there, you are shown a tutorial. But it's not exactly like the best tutorial ever. And the first time I played it, yeah, I won that easy tutorial, but then I was quickly trounced by a little 5-year-old girl waiting outside the inn who just slaughtered me. Now that I know what I'm doing, though, it's payback time for that little bitch. So first things first, I really do want to closely examine these cards and point out a few of the features of them. There's a large number in the upper right hand corner which signifies how many points it's worth, like victory points. Left of that, you'll see a varying number of pawns, and each card can only be placed on a square that has that many pawns or more. For example, a card that has 2 pawns shown cannot be placed on a square with only 1 pawn. However, it can be placed on a square with 2 or more pawns. Next, you'll see a grid underneath the artwork, and the small white square signifies the card, while the yellow area signifies its area of influence. Whenever you place that card down on the field, all the areas in yellow will gain 1 pawn. Then, if there's a red square, that signifies its special ability area. Whenever you hit the face key, you'll get a description of the card's special ability. It might be to raise the power of your own cards or lower the power of your opponent's cards. It only affects those red squares though. So now that we've done a deep dive of what these cards look like, we need to make the best out of our deck, because we only have 15 cards. No more, no less. And every single one of those 15 cards has to count. Back when I was in high school, I played Magic the Gathering, and a big deal in that game is utilizing a proper mana curve. You want to have many cards with lower casting costs, and just a couple of power cards with higher casting costs. It's the same sort of idea here. The vast majority of your cards should only cost 1 pawn. I would say 10 of them. Then you're going to want to have about 3 of them that cost 2 pawns, and then just a small scant few, 2 of them, that cost 3 pawns. Because the last thing that you want to do is being stuck with having no cards to play at all. You also need to have a good balance in how much these cards cost, against how many points they're worth. And then, most importantly, what their area of influence is in the yellow. You want those areas of influence to all be different shapes and sizes, to give you as much variety as humanly possible. Now, whenever you first begin, you're going to be receiving 5 cards in your hand at random, with the option of mulligan. Right off the bat, I always go ahead and mulligan everything that's not a 1 pawn cost card. I want to make sure I have as much variety in my hand as humanly possible, and at the same time, I really do want to get a pretty powerful starter card into my hand, which is the Security Officer. What makes him so great is that his areas of influence is a cross formation, so he's able to cover all of your bases. And despite being a starter card, he's very valuable, and you want to save them for good situations. Now, let's play the game. First things first, always start in the middle row, because that's going to give you a lot of flexibility to move around the board. And I like to use either a Leviton or a Grasslands Wolf to begin. That way, you're able to power up 1 square above or beneath you, as well as move forward, and they're both worth 2 points. The next turn, in the middle, put down one of your security officers if you have them. That ensures that your top and bottom rows are now also open with a pawn, and you can also move forward again. Then, if you're lucky enough to have your second security officer, use that on your 3rd turn too. By this point, you're more than likely head to head with your opponent, and you're going to want to lock in and safeguard your secured spaces. What that means is that whenever you place on your next cards, you want to place them at the forefront of your pawns, right next to your opponent cards. Do not start all the way over on the left-hand side again. Because for the most part, once you put a card down on the right-hand side, everything behind that card is kind of locked in and safe for you. Also, at this point, you're going to want to try to turn some of the red pawns green so that you can take over their spaces too. Once you do this, and you sort of build a wall enclosing your opponent in, you're going to want to start looking at the points and doing a little bit of math here to make sure that you win. Because remember, just being close to your opponent's score does not help. It is all or nothing whenever it comes to scoring. It doesn't matter if you have 6 points on the horizontal line and your opponent has 7. It's not like he's just going to get the difference of 1. He still gets all 7 of those points. So you need to make sure that you put your high value cards where they are most needed. And this is where the Elidunks come into play. Now that you have your opponent trapped like I do, place those Elidunks in the very first squares on the left hand side, because at least one of those should be worth 2 pawns. And each of those Elidunks are worth 4 points, so they're very nice to have. And they should be able to push you over the edge into victory. The Crystalline Crabs are very nice too, as they only cost 1 pawn, yet they're actually worth 3 points. 1 point for the card itself, and then plus 2 for its ability. Not to mention, it also allows you to move 1 forward space. I do hope that this real quick Queen's Blood guide helped you out, and I would like to use the comment section here as kind of like a tips and tricks sharing spot, where we can all get together and share best practices. And as always, if you like what you see here on the channel, please be sure to follow me over on the Twitter and join my Patreon for early access videos and behind the scenes photographs. This has been David, and if you like this, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.